I went from having pain that was levels on the scale from 1 to 10, a 10 every day, to not feeling pain at all, being able to run, being able to change direction. It's crazy, man. It's really like a big blessing that I didn't see coming. If I were going to tell them something about the medicine, I'd say that you have to work with it. It's not something that, it's like a overnight pill that you take and it's just going to fix everything. It works in time. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Grew up in that small town, and I was always family oriented. My father and my uncles surrounded me. They all played football, and so they were a huge influence on as far as like what I wanted to do growing up, and seeing them excel at it, is something I always saw for myself. So as I grew older, that's what I started doing. I started playing Little League football in Baton Rouge, and yeah, I used to be like real big with doing that growing up. Was sort of like a hometown celebrity in a way, because I was so good at it. I got recognized at a young age. Got my first scholarship offer when I was in the 8th grade from LSU. My second scholarship offer was from Alabama the same year. And like after that, the offers just kept pouring in, from 8th grade all the way until, my senior year. My junior year, I was the number 1 player in the country. And then I started off number 1 and then finished number 5 overall. My freshman year at college, it was nice at Alabama. They already had like great guys on the team. We went to the Natty that year. I started at linebacker towards the end of the season. I didn't get to finish the season. I ended up getting hurt, and we ended up winning though. So came back 2018. I think we went undefeated again and lost in the Natty that year as well. That year, I ended up making the All-American team. And then I also was like a runner-up for the Buckets Award. That's like one of the most prestigious awards for a linebacker. Mind you, I was only a sophomore, so the sky was the limit at that point. And so my junior year, I always say that year is special because I felt like I put in so much work, not only physically and on the field, but mentally, like to evolve myself into like a better person. I just knew like that year was going to be my year. And so, mind you, throughout my entire life, it was always an upward projection. Like I just knew what was next or what was coming, only to find out like mid-year in 2019, I ended up tearing my ACL. And so that was a huge bummer. It was a big thing that just shattered my hopes and dreams, because I never thought that something like that would happen to me. I never had like a season-ending injury, much less an injury where I'd have to have like surgery or something like that. So yeah, that ended my year. We didn't even make it into the playoffs that year. And the following year was COVID. So 2020 was even worse because I was towards probably towards the end of my recovery, like whenever I tore my ACL in 2019. And then when 2020 came, in March of that year, it basically shut everything down, shut everything off as far as like my rehabilitation. I also just had to wait till I could like be able to get my resources back again, as far as like getting back to school. And that in itself was just tough because with everything being closed down and the facilities being shut down, I really had nowhere to be able to get my training in and nowhere to finish my rehab. So it was like a stalemate in a sense. And September 26th, that was our first game back in 2020. And I actually felt, my best. I was like, I was feeling it. Mind you, I haven't played like in the game since like 2018. So yeah, I was playing pretty good, man. Like going through the first few games of the season, my body, like I said, wasn't really up to speed at that point. And I remember in the beginning of the season, like I experienced some type of knee pain. I checked it out with my team doctors at the time, and they said it was a bone bruise. Something, and you know what? I had a bone bruise before. That's going to go away. I'm not worried about it. As weeks go by, I started noticing that it's starting to get worse and worse. And after every game on Sunday, I'd have to drive to Birmingham with my trainers, and I'd have to like pull, loads of fluid out of my knee because it was swollen after the game. So like the most I ever had to pull out of my knee was maybe 60 cc's. And that was so painful, man. And it was just crazy because I've never had to endure that type of pain. It got to the point where I really started resenting everyone at the facility. Even though I've always had love for those people, even though I always had love for football, like I even started resenting football. Like I literally said it during the game. I was like, man, I hate this. Like I genuinely hate this. Seeing on like Twitter or like social media, people saying, oh, he's not playing well, or he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, or NFL coaches telling me that like my character is off, or they don't know if I'm hungry enough. And I'm like, man, it's like they're demonizing my character. They don't even know who I am. They don't even know what I've been through. And it's almost like I'm being put in this narrative where I'm just lazy. This guy thought he was going to leave in 3 years. So it was last year he came in and just lollygagged and didn't put forth effort. Like I've seen guys do that. But in my case, I've never wanted to be like that. I've never would even imagine myself doing something like that. So I ended up seeing who it was, Dr. Andrews. Yeah, Dr. Andrews in Pensacola right after his season. And he did a scope of my knee and he was like, yeah, Dylan, your knee is bone to bone. And there's no tissue there for your cartilage. And I was like, wow, really? And I remember walking around. I was limping everywhere. And I remember my agent at the time, he was telling me, we don't want you walking in front of these teams like that because they're going to be, thinking something is truly wrong with you. But I'm thinking to myself, it really is something wrong because I've never not had a meniscus in my life before. Like I've never felt this before. So it was word around saying that I would never be able to play again. Like my knee is like the knee of like a 90-year-old man. Like that was probably the most hurtful or most painful thing that I've ever had to experience, because after working so hard from a child to a teenager to an adult, and then getting to the point where you're at the door of your dreams, and then you're not being able to live it how you expected it to. So this guy named David Bell, his wife reached out to me through Facebook. Mind you, I don't normally get on Facebook, but she reached out through Messenger. She was saying, hey, my husband is he's a bioscientist and he does regenerative cells. And he can possibly, work with you and help you get you back to your peak performance. And so I was like, I didn't know what that was, but I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and do it. Like, I don't have anything else at this point that I can like actually put my faith in that can help me. And like, this is one thing that just came up out the blue that just was like heaven sent in a sense. Yeah, I ended up meeting up with David in Fort Worth. Like, I believe it might have been in May. It probably was in May, like our first meeting. And, I had my first injection. He told me what the regenerative medicine was, how it can help me, and to pretty much just update him each month, like on how I feel. My relationship with David and his wife, Brandy, that pretty much changed my life, man. Over those 2 years, my knee straightened back up. I kept doing the regenerative medicine with David, and got the cartilage in my knee grew back. I mean, you could still tell that my knee has been worked on, but as far as the cartilage and stuff, it's cartilage there now, because before it wasn't. Changed direction. It's crazy, man. It's really like a big blessing that I didn't see coming. If I were going to tell them something about the medicine, I'd say that you have to work with it. It's not something that, it's like a overnight pill that you take and it's just going to fix everything. It works in time. So when I first started using the regenerative medicine myself, the very first thing I started noticing was a speed in recovery as far as like healing. Like if I had a cut or a bruise or something, like it would heal quicker than it would had I not had the medicine in my system. And I noticed that within a month. I'm just blessed to be able to use it. But what I will say is you can't have the mindset of thinking that it's going to happen overnight. Like this is something that as it gets in your system and it pretty much gets in your DNA, you have to continue working with it over time. And then your body will soon catch up with it. And then it'll be like a rhythm in a sense. So